Can you have a successful business even though you don't have any goals? Hey, badass business owners, my name is Tammy, and I'm here to help you grow your business, but more importantly, grow those profits. And goals, everybody knows we're supposed to have goals, right? But a lot of us, including me, are horrible at them. We know we're supposed to have SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, relatable? No, it's not relatable. Realistic and timely kind of goals. And some of you probably are fantastic at that, and you do a wonderful job with that. You're very organized, and you just kind of bump. But then there's like the rest of us who are horrible at that. We know we should be doing it, but yeah, we kind of aren't that great at it. And for some of us, maybe we're kind of in the middle of it. So can you still be a successful business even though you don't have these SMART goals? Well, I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. But I also want to make sure that we look at the pros and cons of them, and that we set realistic expectations for ourselves when it comes to these goals and how successful we're going to be. Now, I think that without them, you can be just as successful as the person that has them. The difference is more of the timeline of how you're going to get there. And I had a great conversation with somebody a few weeks ago about this, or maybe it was a week ago. And then I started having some other dialogue with it. And you know me, when I'm having the same conversation multiple times, it means it's time to talk about it. So let's talk about goals, shall we? The thing that's great about having very measurable goals is it helps us achieve things a lot quicker. So right now I'm sitting in my work office that will be there for a couple more weeks. As a lot of you know, I haven't been on here as much. And part of that is I've been dealing with some issues with my mom's health and having to spend more time with her. Well, I'm going to be consolidating from this office to my home office, which is a complete disaster because it's just years and years of things have been dumped off, and now I've got to turn it into something. Well, I can look at this office around me and I can say, you know what, I'm going to be very pointed on my goals around this office. I'm going to do this on Monday, this on Tuesday, this on Wednesday, and next thing you know, I can have this all done. Matter of fact, I could create a goal of where I have it completely emptied in one day. And is that realistic? Absolutely. A lot of the stuff that's in here doesn't belong to me, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that do, and it's very unorganized, which is why it's always a mess in the background. So could I get it done in one day? Absolutely. Could I get it done in a week? Absolutely. Could I kind of just do it as I get to it and it could drag out for weeks and months and everything else? Absolutely. Which is why I have the mess that I do at home. But at the end of the day, I have a timeline that I have to be out of here. So no matter what, I'm going to hit that timeline. How I hit that timeline is going to be based off of the goals that I set for myself. Now, the whole purpose of this video is not to share and say, hey, this is me trying to do my office. It's more of when I talk to several of you guys and what it is that you want to achieve in your business. So for example, a lot of times people have specific sales goals that they want to attain. But when it comes to setting the goals around doing that, it kind of gets a little fishy. For some people, they're like, okay, I want to make sure that I hit X amount of goals or sales goal by X amount of date. And when you start talking to them about how they're going to get there, they're going to be like, I'm going to talk to X amount of people every single week. I'm going to do this type of advertising, and I'm going to do it by this date. And, they're very SMART goal oriented. Okay. Then I have other people that say, yeah, I want to grow my business. But when you say, what do you want to grow your business to? It's like, well, just more than what I do today. Well, okay. And you might do that. You might accidentally start doing things that grow the business and start getting there. But without a timeline, you never know how big you're going to be. So what ends up happening is you end up being frustrated in a year because you haven't hit the goals that you had up here. Because a lot of times we have goals, we just have them up in our head. I know I do that. Okay. By the way, what I'm telling you guys, I am guilty of. Okay. I'm not trying to sit here and preach that there's the right way to do it, the wrong way to do it, or anything else. It's the right way for you to hit the goals that you have on the timeline that you have for yourself. Because if you want to do something quicker, you're going to have to put more solid goals in place with better action plans to be able to do it. By just saying, I'm going to kind of get there, it's not always going to get you there. So for example, when I'm talking to people that say, by the end of the year, I want to get to X amount, but then I start asking them, well, okay, well, what's your plan? You want to go after this specific group of individuals. What's your plan to do that? And they're like, well, I don't want to have a plan. I don't want to put a plan in place. I don't have a plan. Okay, well, then don't be surprised if you wake up a year from now and you may have made some progress on that goal, but you're not going to make tons of progress. Because if you want to have X amount of accounts from a certain type of individual, then you have to have a plan in place on how you're going to do that. Otherwise, you will eventually get there, probably, maybe, but there's no guarantee as to when that's going to happen. I've talked to people that, for example, they work out of their van, and their van is very disorganized, and they're like, yeah, one of my goals is I want to clean up my van, and I want to get it more organized because I want to do it. I have a handyman, for example, that's like that. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the plan to do it? Well, I do a little bit of it at a time. And I'm like, okay. Just know that that van may never be as organized as you want it to be because you don't have a plan to say, this is what I'm going to do. So, because let me ask you this. Here's a great example of it. If I was to completely rip everything out of the van and then put in the shelving that I want and organize it the way I want, and I say, I'm going to do this over the course of a weekend or the course of a week, the odds are by ripping everything out of it and putting everything back, I'm going to hit that goal, right? I'm going to hit that goal quicker, as opposed to saying, well, I'm going to kind of work on it slowly as I work on each particular section. I'm going to get it done. Well, they're probably going to get it done, but it might be a month from now, 2 months from now, heck, a year from now. If you go back, here's one that a lot of people can relate to, is like your bedroom. When you would clean up your bedroom. If I just kind of start picking at things when I was a kid, I realized I wasn't as quick as getting it done as when I just took everything and threw it on top of my bed. Now I want to go to sleep at night, so I know that everything in my bedroom was going to get cleaned up because I had to clean off my bed before I went to sleep. So that's how I forced myself to get it done within one day. Whereas if I kind of just, all right, when I get to it, I'm going to get to it. It doesn't work that way. Same thing on a lot of different things in our life is we can say we're going to get it and we can chip away at it, but there's no guarantee. The main reason that I'm bringing this up is there is no right way or wrong way to do your goals. And don't let anybody bully you into thinking that it has to be some way. And I know when I'm talking to people, sometimes they might feel as if I'm bullying them. I'm not. What I'm trying to do whenever I talk to people about their goals is, okay, when is the timeline that you want and what are you willing to do to hit that timeline? If you don't have a timeline and you don't care when you're going to hit it, great, just keep doing what you're going to do. But don't be shocked that you keep getting the results that you keep getting, which is that it's going to drag out. Will you eventually get there? Absolutely. Because you have a desire, you have a plan, you want to kind of get there. Your plan's just different than most people, then fine, you're going to get there. Another one that I'm seeing right now a lot has to do with bookkeeping. As a lot of you know, I've opened up a bookkeeping company to try to help folks like yourself who want to work on their business but not work on their books, right? So when I'm talking to people in their business, whether I'm doing it as a business coach or if I'm doing it in regards to the bookkeeping, either way, they're like, well, I want to know my numbers, but I haven't had time to put it together. Okay, but you're not going to have your numbers if you don't put a plan in place to be able to do that. You can't really be surprised that a month goes by, a week goes by, whatever, and the bookkeeping is still not caught up when you never had a plan in place to do it. You were kind of doing it as you can. So all you're doing is delaying what your ultimate goal is. Why do we ultimately want to have our good bookkeeping in place? Is to better understand our business numbers so we can make better decisions in their business. And so it's one of those things that bookkeeping may not light you up. You may not want to do it. That's where you look to hiring a bookkeeper. And this isn't a commercial for you to be able to say, hey, Tammy, will you do my bookkeeping? I'll be glad to help you with your bookkeeping. Absolutely. But the point is, if you don't have a plan that you're going to catch up on your bookkeeping this weekend and I'm going to spend 3 hours working on it, don't be surprised that your bookkeeping isn't caught up the following week or the week after that or whatever the case may be. This is where a bookkeeper comes in handy for you because guess what? Their whole purpose and what you're paying them for is to make sure that your books are up to date every single month. Now, you have your part to play because you have to get the bookkeeper what they need. But if you can get the bookkeeper at least what they need, then at least you should have clean books every month and you've taken that piece off of your plate. So when you're looking at the goal to have good books so that you could have good numbers, that's where it comes into. I could go on forever on different examples. And ultimately, I guess this is what I'm trying to tell you is, will SMART goals work? Absolutely. If your brain works that way and you want to put these SMART goals in place, and I think if you ever have something big that you want to accomplish, maybe you have a project you want to get done or a process you want to fix, I highly recommend using SMART goals because by doing that, it's going to help you hit the deadline and the goal that you have that you want to get done. Even if you do a hybrid of it, maybe if you wanted to, like I was telling you at the office, if I wanted to have a SMART, really focused goal, I would say I would get it done in one day. But At the same time, I don't necessarily need that. I could do that. I don't necessarily need that. But I know I need something stronger than, oh, I'll just work on it a little bit at a time, because I have one of those deadlines that are in place. I have to have it done by a certain timeline. So I need a hybrid of that entire thing. So what I'm trying to tell you is, don't let people get into your head about goals one way or another. Do you need the extreme this way of SMART goals? Sometimes, for the project, for the goal, for whatever it is you're trying to achieve. But do you need it the other way, where you kind of like dink around and get to it when you get to it? No, because eventually you'll get there, but who knows? That might be 5-10 years from now. I'm going to assume you want to achieve that goal somewhere in between. It doesn't necessarily need to be done tomorrow, but you also don't want it to be 10 years from now. So you need to come up with a hybrid. You need to come up with these mini goals of things to say, you know what? My entire project is, for example, today I came to do this video, and part of one of the goals I set for myself was I would leave with at least 2 boxes of junk when I left today from the office. So it's not the complete goal. It's not the complete plan of how I'm going to get the office done, but I knew I wanted to come in and do this video, even though it's late, right? And do this podcast. But I also knew I could piggyback on this other goal to say, I'm at least going to leave with 2 different things with me, 2 different boxes. So at least I know I'm making progress on my goal. So I could go on and on about this. Can you be successful without having goals? Yes, you can be successful. You may not hit as big of a success as you want to hit, but you can still be successful. So I don't want anyone to ever make you think that you're not going to be successful without goals, but I do think you need to be realistic on how quickly you're going to achieve those goals, because without having some goals in place at different times, it will drag that out. And I'm going to guarantee you that if you think about it right now, there's something you've been wanting to achieve, you're disappointed, you're mad, you're upset, you're whatever the feeling that you're having, because you're just not making the progress on it. And it's because you've never set boundaries for yourself or clear goals on it. You're getting exactly what it is that you're putting out there. You're not putting concrete plans in place, then don't expect concrete results. Yes, you can do things slowly and you will eventually get there. I am famous for it. I promise you, I am not perfect at this whole goal thing. I have taught it. I have helped people set their goals. You know what? I intellectually understand them very well. Putting in practice, maybe not so much, because it doesn't ring my bell. You know what? If there's something I must get done, then yeah, I put them in place. But if it's something that I'm okay with it, and you know what? There's times I'm disappointed in myself. I don't achieve the things that I want to achieve in the next, 3 months. When I get to the end of that 3 months, I know I have no one to blame but myself, because I didn't put a plan in place. I didn't hold myself to the plan that I had. You know what? I write it down, I think about it, but I never implement it. There's so many moving pieces, if you will, to the whole entire goal thing. I'm just rattling. I'm going to stop rattling because, if you've been a long time listener, you know that when I get to that point, I know it's time to end. But just know, yes, you can be successful if you don't have goals in place. But don't get mad if you don't achieve those goals because you don't put those processes or systems in place, or, SMART goals, or whatever it is that you want to use to be able to get there. You got to the right way is somewhere in between. You've got to find what works for you. And like I said, if you want a business coach or you need a business coach, I'm here for you. If you're looking for someone to do your bookkeeping, I'm also here for you. In the show notes will be some links to be able to reach out to me. But just know you don't have to do this alone. I'm here to help you, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.